presentations, who decides who's presenting whom?
The Pro Football Hall. And so they will give a candidate to the presenter or the voter who's probably been with that guy's team, to the team that guy's been with the longest. So you'll have someone, there'll be people like a Deion Sanders. Okay, that's a tough one because he was with Atlanta, then he goes to San Francisco, then he goes to Dallas, then he goes to Washington. Well, Dallas is kind of where some people identify him with. So I sort of identify him with Atlanta because San Francisco there is for a cup of coffee in '94, and yeah, he's defensive player of the year and they won the Super Bowl. But so I think the Dallas guy presented him, and that would be Rick. And then I think the Atlanta voter was also asked, you've got a chance to present him if you want. And that's D. Orlando Ledbetter. And I think he did. That's my guess off the top of my head. So if there's someone who's been with a team longer, like John Lynch, for instance. John Lynch was with Tampa, then goes to Denver. But he's kind of identified with Tampa, mostly with Tampa, because they won a Super Bowl there. Ira made the presentation. The Denver voter was asked if he wanted to weigh in. He did, but Ira pretty much made the presentation. Then as it went on, because John was an 8-time finalist, so it goes on and on and on. And after a while, you go, what do I have new to present? Ira kept presenting him, and he kept coming up with something new. And finally, John got in. But that's what happens. If you're with some team more than others, or you're identified with that team more than others, that presenter, that voter with that particular team will get the first option. Now, he may say, yeah, Ira could have said, I'd rather Jeff Legwold with Denver, who's the presenter for the Broncos. I'd rather he do it this year. Okay, Jeff's going to handle it, but you got the option.
So with the sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, thanks. So with the voting process, once a candidate gets into the finals, it's at 80% of the full selector panel.
Right.
How often is there, unanimous as opposed to somebody that just gets in there by one vote, say? Is it pretty?
I don't know, because we don't know the tabulations. They're private. We never know that.
So all you know is yes or no that they made it.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So Clark, I was going to ask, is there somebody personally who you would like to see in?
Oh, there are a lot of people.
Okay, well, just pick one.
Al Wister, I mentioned him earlier, a senior, Al Wister. I think Al Wister belongs in and should be in. We wrote John Turney, who's an historian, who actually is going to be involved in the process. I'm glad, and so is Ken Crippen. And I'm really glad to see them involved. But John wrote about Mike Curtis yesterday. I'm not saying that Mike needs to be in, but he needs to be in the conversation. He's never been a semifinalist or a finalist. I don't really get that. I don't understand how that's possible. But Ralph Hay is another one. I mentioned him. I look and I go, how is it possible the co-founder's not in? That's all I need to say, co-founder. Let's move the conversation on. But that's going to be a heated conversation. And it's funny, Chris, because you asked about Eli. That is going to be a polarizing conversation. Wait till you see the length of debate on that. It's going to go well over an hour. I'll guarantee you that. It's going to be heated. There'll be stuff that'll come out that shouldn't, because people are going to say things that they'll regret when they see them in print. And that's why you have to be careful. That's going to be a really tough one, because I love covering him. He's a terrific quarterback. He's one of the best that I've seen. And his brother was great. His father was the best college quarterback I ever saw, I thought. And Eli, he had those Hall of Fame moments. He was really good. But to me, Hall of Very Good. And that's okay. That's great. Hall of Very Good is great. But we're trying to move this to an upper echelon. And I know Deion said something about that in the past. I think Derek Brooks has said something about that in the past. I think that they're right. I don't agree with Deion a lot of stuff, but I thought he was right about this. We need to make it a little more difficult. And so they are. They're doing that. But those are three people that I'd mentioned. I've got, listen, do I have some favorites from teams that I covered? Yeah, Roger Craig. Why is Roger Craig not one of the guys in? I don't know. Eddie Metter, all decade safety, and he passed away last year. And it was an opportunity, I thought, He was dying when they had the vote. He made the top 6, and they took 3 finalists. Went, get him in. It's a you tell him that he made it. I mean, tell him that he made it. God, that's the thing. It bothers me so much when these guys pass away and they don't know, and then we put him in. And he didn't. And I don't understand why he didn't. I don't. But he didn't. And Eddie Medder's another guy. Maxie Bond. I mean, I'm just gonna start going down the list here. I mean, Maxie Bond should be in. George Kuntz. Rick Gosselin's really high in George Kuntz. George Kuntz was a great offensive lineman, but he was an offensive lineman from the past. I'm going to tell you, if you don't want to excite voters, tell them about an offensive lineman from the past. Al Worcester was a tackle. Goodbye. George Kuntz, tackle. Goodbye. See you later. And so those are people I care a lot about. I think they should be in. Willie Anderson's up next year. Next year you have the vote this year, but he's up for the class of 2025. He made the top 10 last year. I'm glad to see it because he's a right tackle, and people go, right tackle, I'm not too excited about it. Well, he should be, because they often put the best pass rushers on the left side when he was playing, so you should be excited about it, but they don't anymore, so they don't really identify with them. I think the last, I'm guessing off the top of my head, I think Jackie Slater was the last right tackle that went in. We've had a lot of left tackles going in. But so Willie Anderson, he played for the Bengals. Yeah, okay, they didn't do much. Well, I don't care. He was a great player. And I will say Darren Woodson probably belongs from the Cowboys. He was in the top 10 too. I think he should make it. But yeah, they're guys that, you know, when you talk about, and you guys are older, so you know, you're probably not as old as I, but you know that the people you watched who made a difference, and people who resonated with you. And one guy who's not a Hall of Fame candidate and shouldn't be because he didn't play long enough, but was spectacular, was Burt Jones. I saw Burt Jones in Baltimore, and Burt Jones was one of the finest quarterbacks I ever saw. But he had 3 great seasons, and then he got hurt and was never the same. You talk to people today, by and large, I would bet if you surveyed 100 people randomly, 90, 95 of them would say, never heard of him. And that bothers me. I never heard of him. This guy was great. The best, I think it was passer you ever saw. Who was the best? He wasn't quarterback, I think. Who's the best passer you ever saw? He goes, Burt Jones. Who's Burt Jones? I went, yeah. Damn right, Burt Jones. You know, Burt Jones could do it. And when I covered the Colts, they drafted Elway. And I remember Ernie Accorsi said, he's everything that Burt Jones was, and can make the one pass that Burt couldn't. He told me about it. It's like a swing pass, but he said he was great. Boy, compared to Burt Jones. John Elway is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen in my lifetime. I'm talking about talent. He could do everything. They talk about Mahomes throwing the ball, and somebody on Twitter posted a video of him. I think it was against Baltimore. He rolled right, threw the ball left down the field. I think it was Tyreek Hill who caught it, and he said, we've never seen this before. And I don't like getting on Twitter. I don't, because you're asking for trouble. But I won't. He said, we've never seen this before. I said, I did. I saw it at Stanford 40 years ago. What are you talking about? I mean, Elway could make every throw. Every throw. And he was a great quarterback. Marino was a great quarterback, but we tend to forget the people who played longer than 10 minutes ago. And we just sort of put them in a discard pile. And that's why I'm so excited about being with the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It does get me energized. And that's why I like you guys calling and asking about it, because I wish more people were energized, more people were interested. And you're talking about players that most people aren't today because they're not on YouTube, or they're not in Madden 25 or whatever. I understand those are things that push the game today, but there were guys who pushed the game a long time ago who deserve to be recognized, and too often they're not.
Oh, we love this. We love sort of looking at the modern and the past, and this has been amazing for us.
Oh, well, it's good. It's a pleasure for me to talk to you guys. Love talking about players past, present, and future. Call anytime. I've got all the time in the world.
Oh,
and I promise you, next time
I'm going to have you back on.
Next time you get in touch with me, you'll be able to see me, whether you like that or not, but you'll be able to see me. But I appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
No, thank you for the time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Kirk, I'm going on here. I'm following you. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Clark. Take care.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Excellent. That was a fun and very insightful conversation. Thanks again, Clark. We'll definitely be in touch again, because there's just so much to talk about with the Hall of Fame.
You made that happen. So like when you come here, I know you don't drink. Fuck. Like I'm gonna give you oysters and whatever the fuck.
It's all right. It's all good. I had a great time. Appreciate letting me on here and having these conversations. So yeah, it's good. It's fun.
All right, man. All right.
Have a good afternoon.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right. Take care.
Bye bye now.